I think many people are speculating why EVs can't get more affordable, and why doesn't Tesla put all efforts and energy towards making a more affordable vehicle, and I get it. I'm right there with you. I would love it if EVs just kept falling down the ladder and getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and I do think there will be more price declines, but I think there's a very specific reason Tesla is trying to become more of an automation and robotics company, and they don't want to be looked at as a car company. It's primarily because Elon and everybody else at Tesla is probably well aware that the margins of the auto business are not that great, particularly if you're banking on the whole future of the company being powered by cheaper and cheaper vehicles. You look in the gas car industry, and it's very similar in the EV industry. The only way to really make money with cheaper and cheaper vehicles is just to have extreme scale. But even then, you don't really have a money printing business like other companies like Apple or Google or Nvidia have. Let's say you're a really, really successful car company and you're able to ship and deliver like 10 million or 15 million units a year, but your profit margin is like $1,000. That still comes nowhere near the profit margins that Apple gets on their iPhones that they sell by the 100 million, and then all of the memberships and subscriptions that they can generate off of that app store and the ecosystem that surrounds it with its accessories. With a vehicle, the margins just get razor thin the lower you price them, and that's why I personally think Tesla is kind of giving up, or at least moving away from the concept of delivering 20 million vehicles a year. That's a figure that they originally gave back at Tesla Battery Day 4 years ago now. Drew Baglino helped with the presentation, but he's no longer at the company. Lots and lots of executives have actually been leaving Tesla. It's kind of hard to imagine a scenario in which it's not because of some kind of disagreement internally with the company. Just so many people that had been in the company for a long time that are suddenly deciding to depart and spend more time with their family. But I think Elon has this ultimate goal of getting humanity to Mars, and he's well aware that it's going to take a lot of money to do that. So his two babies, as far as enterprise go, that he spends a lot of time on, or at least should be spending a lot of time on, is SpaceX and Tesla. Those date back way before he even acquired Twitter and everything, which I think as more time goes by is turning out to be a not super profitable business venture, but more about protecting free speech, whatever that means. So I think Elon knows in his heart of hearts, not only is it good for the planet to have more and more gas-powered vehicles displaced by EVs, but it's also good for the betterment of humanity to have lots of very valuable Tesla stock that down the road he can sell to help fund his SpaceX ventures to get to Mars. And the only way you can justify Tesla becoming a multi-trillion-dollar brand that becomes more valuable than Apple and Google and Nvidia combined, which is the kind of claims he's said in the past, is that they have to rethink the auto business. They really can't justify their valuation right now if it's purely looked at as a car company. So because so much of Elon's vision is built around creating shareholder value and making these shares so valuable, Tesla in a way is not only just a company meant to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, but it's also meant to be a brand that generates just the most overall value possible so that he's got money and resources to fund his dreams. And he believes that that involvement comes down to robotaxis, so transitioning all of their vehicles into autonomous ones that can drive people around and be 5 times more productive than the typical vehicle, not spending all day just sitting in a parking lot, but instead giving people rides, and Tesla gets a piece of every ride. And then even longer term, that's why they're putting these Tesla bots everywhere. I believe they think that their vision-based system and their neural net training and custom silicon they've designed will unlock AI functionality that lets a humanoid robot learn just as fast, if not faster, than a regular human, and that will displace like the entire labor force. Like Elon speculates that when the Tesla bot is fully built out and is fully operational, we're going to need universal basic income because it's going to replace like all manual labor jobs. I have a hard time believing that personally, and I've got lots of issues with it that I'm not getting into, but I'm just trying to give everyone perspective on why Elon, who's pretty much the head honcho, the techno king at Tesla right now, is so focused and so driven on making Tesla a robotaxi and robotics company, and he probably has very little interest in developing just cheaper, like $20,000 EVs, even though that's more of what I want, because I doubt whether or not robotaxis can scale at the same rate that Elon does. Like, I think it'll make sense in a few selected cities within certain regions when the weather is good, but I don't see it displacing like all car ownership like he does, which is why I personally believe the future is not going to just be about robotaxis, but more so making electric vehicles more affordable to the masses. And why I'm so excited and interested in brands like Aptera and Tello Trucks is because they're building out business models that don't require them to justify, you know, like massive game-changing valuations. They're not necessarily shooting to become like a $10 trillion brand. No, both of these companies, which I guess I'm biased because I do work for one of them, is focused on, okay, how do we make a profit with under 10,000 vehicles a year? Because there's so many different use cases for vehicles out there. Some cars that are better for cities, some cars that are better for rural areas, and like RJ Scaringe talks about anytime he's in an interview talking about Rivian, it's that the market needs more options. We cannot just have one singular brand cover the needs of, you know, over 2 billion vehicles on planet Earth. Right now, Tesla, in my opinion, still offers the best electric vehicles on the market, but over the next couple of years, that's going to start changing, especially with the launch of the Aptera, giving you 400 miles of range for under $40,000. That's just never been done before. Solar charging can make transitioning to an EV a lot easier for people who don't have garage access, or a lot more affordable to people who have to pay for high electricity rates. Also, Rivian with the R2, I think, is prioritizing more off-roading performance and storage capability compared to the Tesla Model Y. I mean, just look at the roads of today, people. There's all kinds of different cars out there. We can't just have like 2 or 3 models covering everything. So what my hope is that as Tesla discovers that scaling robotaxis is harder and harder, and as they start to realize that they may have reached out kind of a plateau when it comes to EV demand, like they delivered a decent number of cars this quarter, but it has still come a long way from the days of when Tesla was like, yeah, we're going to try to shoot for an average of 50% growth per year. But the Model Y is already the best-selling vehicle in the world, and people are saying somehow Tesla's going to undercut the best-selling vehicle in the world with something half the price, and that's somehow going to sell at 4 times the volume of the Model Y. I personally don't think so. I think that if they make cheaper vehicles, they're probably going to have to be compromised in some way, whether it be range, charging speed, or practicality, like the storage space or the number of seats. And there will be people like me that are super excited about that and okay with EVs getting more and more niche so that everybody on the market gets exactly what fits their needs best. But ultimately, no matter what happens, I don't think Tesla's going to stop trying to justify their massive valuation so that Elon has plenty of shares to sell and fund his trips to Mars with the Starship rockets, and it's going to probably take a whole different change in leadership and direction before Tesla gets to the point where they just go, okay, let's just focus on really making affordable, appealing EVs to the masses, which I do think they're already very good at. They're still the #1 EV maker in the world. I love my Model 3. If you're in the market for one right now, in my opinion, the cheapest Tesla, the base Model 3 long range, is really hard to compete with. Like, after the referral code and everything, it's a $34,000 EV that goes over 360 miles on a charge and is still plenty quick, has great charging curve, has the NACS port, has the supercharger network. You really have a hard time beating the value on that thing. But of course, other EV companies are catching up, and I don't think they're going to eat into Tesla sales. They're just going to grow the overall EV market bigger. And that's what we need more of, and I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think Tesla is going to focus on creating a more affordable vehicle that's going to outsell the Model Y, or do you think they're going to achieve their goals of flooding the market with extremely affordable robo-taxis in as many regions as possible, and then after that, take over the world with humanoid robots? All your thoughts, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.